Welcome to the Mindful Musings of Two Spiritual Mamas. We are Alicia
and Shelby,
here to share our 20 years of authentic friendship, life experiences, and acquired wisdom. Infused with love and intention, our episodes will inspire those who are ready to shift their soul path into alignment with its divine purpose.
We will discuss alternative approaches to life's traditional pathways, leaving you with tools in your spiritual toolbox to navigate everyday moments. Knowing and embodying the empowered self on a daily basis is one of the most valuable practices you can adopt. Understanding that you are surrounded by a network of support, both physically and spiritually, will carry you into the next phase of your divine purpose.
You are not alone on this journey. We recognize we're on a spiritual path, navigating our day-to-day lives, and in this podcast, we'll share with you our organic thoughts as we grow and blossom together.
Welcome to episode 1 with Two Spiritual Mamas. I'm Shelby.
And this is Alicia.
And today we are talking to you about how to build your spiritual toolbox with day-to-day practices.
That's right. We're calling them day-to-day essential tools. And because Shelby and I both resonate very strongly with the elements and how we are connected to spirit through our bodies, through the air, through all of the elements, we are using these as soul care. We're going to share with you how we stay centered and what practices we use. This episode will be a little longer than most of them, so stick with us and enjoy the journey.
Yay! I'm so excited to go on this journey with you and with everybody. So we've created a little bit of a map. I find I resonate better when I have some guidance. And as Alicia and I were developing this episode, the 7 directions popped out pretty quickly as a roadmap for us to follow. So what are the 7 directions? In shamanic medicine, they're often used. Of course, it's our west, our north, east and south, but also up, down, and the center. In Native American cultures, often it's called grandfather sky and grandmother earth. It's also just called heaven or earth as well. So there's a lot of different cultures that practice this philosophy, and even in Feng Shui and Chinese medicine, they use the directions for harmonizing your environment. So this is a very ancient practice of looking toward the directions for guidance. And as I said, we're going to use this as our little roadmap on how to stay centered and how to fill up your soul on a daily basis.
And it's kind of cool because it's a circular map. Indigenous people call it the medicine wheel. This is a way to kind of spiral towards your center and continue going within. So we're going to use these 7 directions as the sacred structure to how we can find centeredness in our daily life and our soul care, self-care. And it can just take 2 to 5 minutes. These are just going to be really easy little things you can incorporate in your life that you can practice with intention and connect within, connect to the divine. We're going to start in the east because that's where the sun rises. And I'll let Shelby really dive in there because I love the way she initiates us into these 7 directions.
Well, thank you. The east is our beginning. This is where our sun rises each day. This is often, if you're on a traditional schedule with your day-to-day practices, your day-to-day life, this is when your day starts. Some of us still do start in the darkness, but it's an exciting adventure to know that sun is coming and that new seed is going to be planted, and that opportunity for your for change and for a different way of walking your steps each day. So what we came up with for the East, air is associated with the East. Also, all of our winged creatures and rising above and getting a new perspective on the day. often rising out of the muck that we do find ourselves in on a daily basis, whether it's with the news or with your toddlers or with your job. We all have a certain level of muck in our lives. And so breath work is where we are at. I mean, yes, we can talk about wind and standing outside with your arms stretched open. I know the other night I was in my hot tub and the cold winter wind was blowing right up the valley, and it was so spectacular. But you don't always have a chance to be outside. So let's start with waking up in your bed, and hopefully someone didn't jump on your face or a cat is meowing to wake you up. But if you have that opportunity to wake up and take some deep breaths. So Alicia, I'm going to pass this back to you because you're my breath work friend. So the awakening breath, we call it.
Awakening breath and tapping into that number one most essential element, because we can't go more than a few minutes without breath. And it can be really autonomic and I wouldn't say mindless, but we don't have to think about our breath. But if you can make it a practice with intention to start your morning thinking about deep breathing, connecting to the spirit of air, having gratitude for this body, for this clean air to breathe, and just staying in that little bit of a dream state, subconsciousness. It can help you remember your dreams, and it can also help you feel clarity and grounded, and it can really help you start the day off right to just breathe deeply and oxygenate, and it's so refreshing.
And I find when I practice this, it also puts off my to-do list just for a few more moments, and it allows me to claim my own space and claim my own body, claim my own sense of being, to say, how amazing that I'm awake for another day. How amazing that I have the opportunity to walk forward again today with a clean slate, like with a fresh day, with the sun rises again. So I do love this breath, and I'm not the best at breath work, and this one is simple and it's easy. Tell us, Alicia, I love the four corner breath. So let's talk about that.
It's a good way to recenter any time of day. And the four corner breath is really easy, and you can use it when you're feeling stressed out, when you're feeling kind of anxious or about to go into a big meeting, or, everything is going on around you and you just can't feel your center. Take just a minute. It really doesn't take more than a minute or two to count your inhale to 4 counts. Just let's all do it right now. Just breathe in for a count of 4. And then you hold at the top for a count of 4. And then exhale slowly, count slowly down, 4 counts, and then hold your body empty for 4 counts. And cycling through that, slowing down your breathing, breathing deeply, feeling a conscious presence within, just present with this moment, just those count of 4, the feeling of expansion in your chest, the holding and waiting. It's like incorporating patience and adding stillness to your day. And with that 4 corner breath, you're also massaging the vagus nerve, which calms down the nervous system, gets you back into a parasympathetic state, and it can really help if you are dealing with any level of overwhelm. It's really my favorite tool in a moment of chaos, which we all get throughout the day, and it's just about coming back to center, coming back to center.
I'm so centered right now. I love it. I'm like, okay, you got the rest of this. I'm going to be breathing over here. This present moment awareness. As I was doing the 4 corners, I was thinking about that, feeling the air through my nose and filling my chest and really expanding. This is where I get a little bit excited about I'm going to bring it up, the Magic School Bus shows where you see the oxygenation of the blood, and you feel the nurturing of the air. You really need this. We need this. This is not just something we do. Breathing.
It's so important. It's essential, but it's also a great little reminder to be grateful and to visualize within the body what the oxygen is doing. Every single cell in your body needs this oxygen. And
Mm.
also, when you're breathing in, you can feel the four corners of your body, right? Your chest expands, your rib cage outward and forward and back. And it's just another reminder of connection with the body, connection with the heart and soul, and it's calming.
Maybe we have to recall it the four directions breath or something. We'll
Ooh, I
we'll we'll
like
talk about
that.
that. Awesome. So yes, using your breath, using the wind. This is another one last thing about the breath is listening to the birds. This is
Yeah.
something I think is so important when the birds call to each other in the morning and they're saying, "Good morning, everyone." It's just such a beautiful place, a beautiful sense of balance on the planet. So listen for the birds. Listen for the birds. But now we are going to drop into the south. This is where our fire sits, our fire element. The south is also represents our second chakra and our emotional part of our body. This is also represented by our teenage years. So if you think of that energy that teenagers have, and then also don't have. Teenagers can be a contradiction in themselves. So we just know this as mamas. So the fire is such a spectacular element. It really teaches us the concept of transformation and change, often unexpected, but at times it can be purposeful. So our first method that we want to give you is just to light a candle. So let's say you've just finished your breath work, or maybe you didn't have time to do your breath work, and you want to light that candle for just a moment and say a few prayers, set some intentions. What do you do in the morning with prayer work, Alicia?
I am a big intention setter and
Mm.
affirmation user. And actually, one of my meditations on Insight Timer is exactly that. It's like 10 minutes, and it's a great way to start the day with some positive intentions. So, when I light a candle, I usually start with gratitude, thanking the opportunity for the day, thanking the divine for being here in this amazing earth plane life experience, and I'm really grateful for that transformative element of fire, allowing things to burn off, letting go. I'm a big, huge fan of the practice of letting go, non attachment, and fire teaches us that. It's an amazing teacher and helpful in so many ways. It's also the beginning of a ceremony for me.
Mhm.
When I light a candle, it's with intention to create some moment in time that I'm connecting.
Absolutely. And fire is also such a beautiful teacher to show us that while it can destroy, it also allows room to rebuild. But that takes time. And so for me, when I light a candle, I'm reminded of that things can't always happen in the immediate, but you have to put the work in. You have to set the intention, um, feel the intention in your whole body, and then just get busy on it. It doesn't just happen in an instant. So that's
Yeah,
what fire
this
does for me.
the South is, and that element of fire is very active. It's very
Mm.
productive. It's a great time to do, like in astrology, when we're in a fire element sign, it's a great high energy doing sign, creation sign.
Mhm.
But it also represents the sunlight.
Mm.
And when if you want to be grateful to this element and embody this practice, noticing sunlight on your face, recognizing the vitamin D and how healthy it is to get some sunlight, get outside and breathe the fresh air and stand in the sun. We actually need that full spectrum light I wear blue blocker glasses to prevent all of this technology light, which is unhealthy for our eyes. And I actually use Dorme's glasses. I'm going to put a link to those below because I found they're absolutely fantastic. And it also reminds us when we're indoors using technology, these light bulbs and electricity are also part of the element of fire. So again, just a way to be grateful and direct us back towards this elemental recognition of where spirit is in all things around us all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, take that chance to go outside, not really chance, but the opportunity, even in the winter when it's so dark. If you can just get out there and stick your face right up to the sun for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, it's going to reward you with such a just a sense of warmth and overall coziness. So I know that happens for me. I know that's why I snowboard so much in the winter, because it gives me that chance to be in the sun. So go sunlight.
Yay, sunlight. The sun was kind of peeking in and out of the clouds today. You know, Portland, Oregon, in the
Yes.
winter, we're lucky to get any sunshine. And I made a commitment to myself and I did it. I got outside and I walked around the block. Little extra sunlight can't hurt. I needed it.
We were snowboarding yesterday, and the top of the mountain was just totally covered in clouds. And it was like, that's okay, let's go anyway. And by the time we got to the very top, the clouds had cleared, and it was blue skies, and it was like this crystal white, sparkly. All the trees are covered in snow, and I was like, oh yes, this is why I live here in Vermont. I love it. So
Awesome.
gorgeous. All right. Well, let's travel over to the West where you are, my girlfriend. I love the West. The West represents water. There's our element. And it also represents a letting go, a real sense of adulthood where we understand that our inner wisdom is really what we need. And we can let go of a lot of that stuff we thought we were hanging on to. And it was so necessary in life.
Just like the trees let go of the leaves.
In the autumn, yes, definitely. The West is representative of autumn and the beauty, and nature shows us that every year, especially out here in the East. But for us, we want to look at water as an element, and if you can imagine, water is a purifier. Whether you're drinking it, whether you are bathing in it, whether you are swimming in it, it's all about clearing, and it's just a vessel to say, take it away, take it off. I do not need it. Crying. People, we got to cry more.
It's so good for us.
Yes, crying is a spectacular way to release those emotions. And like I always share, watch a movie. If you have trouble conjuring up those emotions, put on a movie. I always look for drama. If I'm like, okay, I need to cry tonight, and sometimes even something like Grey's Anatomy or something that's going to tug at your heart a little bit. That's what really allows me to release. So
I take a lot of baths, and in that moment of stillness with intention, letting I use salts in my bath because of that extra drawing action, and it helps you to let go of anything that might be kind of sticky or energetically stuck on you. And then when I pull the plug, I imagine all of that stuff just flowing down the drain. And you can do it in the shower too, right?
and sending it down with love too. You don't want
Yes.
to be like, I'm draining all my crap. And that's the best thing as we let go of things, as we learn more about energy and release. It's so important to gift it with love back to the universe, gift it with love back to the Mother Earth. So, yes to the drain, and yes to the shower. Something that's been pretty significant for me is just being conscious of my shower, that I am not taking off my to-do list while I'm in the shower or reciting something that I have to talk about later on in the day, but being very, very present and allowing the water to really cascade over my shoulders and nurture myself, because my body, all of our bodies, needs the love. It needs the attention. So as you scrub and as you wash, pay attention and be present with yourself. It is your vessel. It is your body. It is your it's your host, so you've got to really, really love yourself. And I think that's what our entire podcast is about, is how to love yourself more. So
And live with intentional practices on the day to day, exactly like we're going through. And it's really so wonderful to be able to be grateful for clean water. And again, I infuse that appreciation and gratitude into as many present moments as I can throughout the day. And it really does help.
So there's no more just drinking water real quick. It's all about intentional um, clearing and cleansing and moving it through your whole body. Beautiful. Another spectacular way to honor the element of water is in your rivers or your lakes, your ponds, and of course, the oceans. So if you have those nearby, and of course, it's the right season, I know I spent hours in the rivers this summer, and there was so much going on in the world. And I really learned, I followed my intuition. I felt so happy when I was sitting in the river and just letting the ancient wisdom flow over me. I was actually, my favorite spot was in a gorge. So that was literally thousands of years of um,
Water.
creation.
Yeah. And water
Water.
affects so much, right?
Yeah.
It's like such a powerful tool, erosion and creation in so many ways. It's also the element that represents our intuition.
Mm, right. And so, whether you're in this flowing river where nothing is ever the same, we love change so much. Well, maybe not everybody, but I love change a lot. Um, But then you've got your tides and your ocean tides. And I have not been to the ocean in so long. You get to go there a lot more often than I do. But just honoring that connection with the moon and the I reference it a lot. Like in my gym, I'll say to the girls, it's high tide right now. We got to step up. We got to train hard. And then in the summer, I'm like, all right, girls, it's low tide. Let's have a little bit of extra fun. It's kind of soft going. But yeah, water is another wonderful way to just demonstrate to us how to be, what's natural.
How to
This is an
flow.
yeah,
Yeah. Be in flow.
be in flow. So let's move to the north. This is probably one of my favorite directions. This is our element of the earth. This is the time of elders, of trust, being inside of your spiritual body. There's so much wisdom in the north, and there's also a lot of darkness in the northern times, in the winter months. So for me, I have a secret passion for resting. I think we all need
Relaxation.
more rejuvenation in our lives, and so when the darkness comes with the winter, well, as we've already established, I love to snowboard, and that's a whole nother element. But I love to rejuvenate my body and allow myself to remember, um, and just to simply rest. So for us, we decided that because of the connections to the earth, we would talk about saging and using the beautiful things that herbs and sage that the earth grows for us to clear our energy. So I'm going to let you talk about sage because you are out there in the West where we have a lot of sage here too, but
Yeah,
oh my
sage
gosh,
grows
it's
all over North
everywhere.
America. All over the world, I'm sure. There's culinary sage, but the white sage is my favorite because it just smells amazing. And there's actually scientific research that shows that it kills bacteria.
Hmm.
So you're burning this sage. You can use a feather, or I use my hands, kind of sweeping motion, clearing energetically, and it's actually clearing physically. It's amazing how we've seen this correlation between these energetic practices and how they physically affect us. And it's really a great practice to do when you are coming home from work, or before we do it before we start recording a podcast, because it's like a ceremonial start, or great for transitions. It helps you clear off energy from a different location, work, or I know you say you do it at the gym, or you've got some practices around clearing energy from working all day.
I actually use lavender oil in a spray bottle to do clearing at the gym. I did use sage when COVID first came around. I was like saging the gym in the studio, trying to, but I'm like, I think we need bigger measures than sage to combat COVID-19. Um, but just to energetically separate myself from the mental chatter and all of the obligations that I have at my gymnastics school, I will use a spray bottle of lavender and just spray it on my body and spray it around the lobby, and I leave it there. And that's something that Denise Linn taught me, she's one of our teachers that we admire and reference a lot. Alicia does a beautiful soul coaching program with her. But yeah, going back to the sage, I have been so in admiration of the herb, because there's times that I am in a funk and I'll light that sage up and I can't believe how different I feel when I'm done. And it was 90 seconds of saging my body, and it just clears my energy field. I've also used it in my home when the house feels stagnant, when maybe there's been an argument or the kids' energy is just a little bit too interesting for my taste. I'll just go around and sage. I definitely sage my home at least every season, get right into the corners, get all the doors and windows. As a Reiki master, that's a common practice for Reiki master or Reiki practitioners as well. But using the sage it's just it's a tool that you have access to. It doesn't take more than a minute. And
pretty inexpensive. You just need a lighter and, usually they make them in kind of like a stick, like a smudge wand.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can do doorways at the entryway to your home to protect negative energy from coming in as well, with intention and with that level of clearing with the sage. And I will do my home seasonally as well. And every room, get up in the corners, because sometimes stagnant energy can linger. And it's a wonderful way. Spring cleaning is one of my favorite things to include in my spring cleaning ritual.
And if you don't have sage, I also sing in the corners of my house and I clap. So if you're feeling like I don't have any sage right now, but the energy is strange, just start clapping. Or, if maybe you have children and they have some of those rattles or the little xylophones, just switch up the frequency of the energy. And it's really funny. I have one of those old school xylophones, the rainbow looking ones. And you guys could just imagine I'm going around the house like, do, 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 do.
Well, sound, vibrational frequency, it does kind of knock things out of the way.
Yeah.
And I use bells.
Yes.
I like have a bell inside my smudge bowl. And I'm like, sometimes I just need to ding, 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 clear it up.
Yes, absolutely. So that's our fourth direction, the north. And we're going to move to Grandfather Sky.
After you go around the circle, then we create this multi-dimensional.
Yeah, so it's like this sphere of amazingness. So Grandfather Sky to us represents the higher self. This is where you can tune into that perfect you that is out in the heavens, in the atmosphere. I don't know whatever. There's so many vocabulary words to describe ethereal presence. For Alicia and I, Grandfather Sky is also where our sentient beings are, our angels, our spirit guides, ancestors, extra dimensionals. This is representative of the fifth chakra, which is our throat chakra, which is our communication. So what we decided to place inside of Grandfather Sky are cards, our
Oracle cards are the best tool. Yes.
Super fun.
I know. Such a favorite.
It's like the fortune cookies of the heavens.
It's a great way to tap into that higher wisdom, the guidance from above, and a great way to listen to your intuition.
Mm-hmm. Which is our second episode.
Ding, 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 ding. So excited. Can't wait to get that one recorded, and we'll have it all ready for you. But oracle cards, I have a couple different decks I use regularly. There's a few, and again, our website has some great links if you're interested in which deck to get. But this is a way to, and I know there's lots of different ways to pull oracle cards, right? We talk about shuffling the deck and infusing your energy. I'll actually knock 3 times with my fist, my knuckles, like I'm knocking on a front door, to kind of push out any past energy,
Mm-hmm.
and then shuffle the cards with the intention that my energy is getting infused into this deck. So if you're sharing a deck, passing it around, I'll do that. I'll knock on it before I shuffle with it. And then whatever feels good to you, there's 1,000 different ways to pull cards, and everybody gets to choose their own favorite way. There's no right or wrong way. And I will sometimes just follow my intuition, leafing through and stop at some point. Some people energetically like use their hand and feel for where there's kind of a stop energy. Shelby, I know cards just fly out of your deck.
They do. I just I did a shuffle today, and poop! I was like, "Oh, there it is." But I wanted to tell the quick story of your animal spirit that came through to you like
Oh,
4
yeah.
different times, and then I got my animal deck out, and I started actually. I like to sing, and I like to not in public. I like to make up rhymes. And so I was doing this little, I didn't tell you this whole story, Alicia, but I was singing this song about you and I and how excited I am about this journey together. And I'm shuffling. And then boop, like the cards wouldn't shuffle anymore. And so I just flipped it over and it was, what's the animal? It was the
Badger.
badger. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the one Alicia's been talking about that she's pulled 4 times. And the badger is all about doing it. Like the time is now. It's time to shine, go forward. And so it was definitely a sign of yes to the podcast for certain.
And that's what we use these oracle cards for, right? Is looking for a sign, a message, something to show us we're on the right path. Sometimes it's affirmation,
Yeah.
100%, like, yes, you're on the right path. And when Badger first came up, I was like, weird, I've never gotten Badger before. And I was out with a friend and it was her deck. I'd never seen Badger before. And then my shaman teacher here in Portland, and I did a session where I did this soul retrieval, and Badger was there. And I was like, weird. Okay. Hi, Badger. Like, you're here again. And then, oh my gosh, like 2, 3 other times now, I can't believe other people have sent me pictures of the Badger card.
Oh, that's
and I'm
great.
just like, this is definitely my power animal right now.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Earth Medicine, because there's so many wonderful variety of messages that come through with these
Mm-hmm.
power animals and spirit guides. And one of my favorite decks is the Work Your Light Oracle cards. Rebecca Campbell is amazing, and the art is gorgeous. We pulled a card today, all the
Mm-hmm.
different little moments where you're like, huh, gonna think about that.
Yeah.
It's just something to ponder. It's something to bring wisdom into your life. And
It's like a
that's
little
what
reference. Yeah.
and that's what that fifth direction, connecting to the higher realms, extra dimensions is all about.
Yes. And so if you don't have a deck and you go to the store or you're online, listen to your body, like read a little bit about it. If you're online, read a little bit about it and see if your body reacts. Because it is an intuitive practice to pick a deck. And as you'll learn, as you go forward shuffling and stuff, it's an intuitive practice to draw a card. It's so cool.
Yeah, whatever you're drawn to is the right thing at the
Mm.
right time. And if you don't have a deck or don't have the means right now to get one, I say look for signs and symbols. Look for the words that jump out at you when you're walking down the street. Maybe it's a license plate or a road sign, or you
Mm.
hear it on the radio, right? Like
Mhm.
all these little messages are these little whispers from the divine, messages from your soul trying to guide you and help you on your day, on your journey.
So often. Absolutely. So many stories about that, but I don't want to get too much into the storytelling.
I
Our
love your
first,
stories.
okay. All right, we don't want our first episode to be 2 hours long. Um, So thank you, Grandfather Sky, for that beautiful wisdom. And let us drop into Grandmother Earth. So this is our sixth direction. Grandmother Earth, oh my goodness, aho, thank you. Hats off to you. You are such a divine example of prosperity, of maturity, of perseverance, of diligence, dedication, and absolute spectacular glory. I could go on and on. Obviously, I'm in love with Grandmother Earth.
Pachamama.
Hacha
Yes.
mama, I'm coming home. Uh, so it's easy to think what's the practice for Grandmother Earth is being with Grandmother Earth. Go hug a tree. It's we've been hearing that since childhood. But there's so much science out there. There's this term called earthing. I kind of giggled a little bit when I was like, isn't that
A lot of people did.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's a thing, but hasn't it been a thing? But anyway.
Isn't there a show on Netflix, The Science of
Yeah,
Earthing?
it's actually really cool. It's very,
Yeah.
it's
And
really
I
neat.
do love the science about it because our bodies are electrical currents. All of our neurons and everything in our body communicates with electrical charge. And we have kind of this energy field of electrons that we can actually interchange our electrons with the earth, but not through concrete, not through rubber shoes. We have to be touching the earth to get that grounded, centering, supported exchange that helps us ground.
Mm-hmm.
So every day, and I don't do this. I wish I did it more. Taking my shoes off and just standing in the grass. I mean, I can because it's not frozen here, but
What are you saying? It is a little chilly here sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's why, I don't know, maybe for me when I go snowboarding or snowshoeing, I know you're saying no rubber soles, but that connection and honoring and witnessing the beauty of just the magnificence of the forest, of the mountains, of the sky, it's so replenishing. And it really, there's so much. I talked about muck earlier. There's so much going on right now politically and all across the globe. We're in the middle of COVID. And I just feel like the earth is not going to let you down. So if you just go outside for a moment and even lay down, I'm like getting cheery eyed. Lay down and look up at a tree and just watch the goings and comings of the birds, or just witness the squirrels playing, or whatever it is that you have in your area. Just be a part of it and feel the harmony of it, feel the synergy, feel the way that everything works off each other, the way that the trees intermingle, witness the wind, light that fire outside if you can, the stars, everything. It just realigns. It realigns me. It's very quick. I've practiced it enough, and I'm fortunate enough to live in a place where I have acreage to walk around on and be a part of the land. So it happens very quickly for me that I can rejuvenate. And if you live in a city or a place that's not as accessible, it's almost even more important. I've definitely heard of people bringing the earth indoors where they can have some rocks and some dirt and a little, some plants that they can hang on to and identify with if they don't have that opportunity it's not as prolific as a place like Vermont. So
that's a wonderful recommendation. Yeah. And I do have a lot of house plants, and bringing the earth indoors and making little altars with elements and bringing in rocks and feathers. I've got them all over my house. Like every surface is an altar pretty much.
My sons are like, Mom, if you bring another rock into this house, we're not going to have any place to sit. I'm like, I am just decorating with them. And I'm like, but it's just, I love it, so. Okay.
The love of earth.
The love of earth. So
Okay.
yes, don't use the earth. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about was asking for permission if you are really weighted down with stuff, and you know what your stuff is. So I don't need to try to fabricate that for you. And you have the chance to go sit down next to a tree or in the middle of a field and put your hands down flat and root your tailbone in and take those deep breaths that Alicia taught us about earlier, and just say, I would like you to hang on to some things for me right now. I was totally crying again.
I love how passionate you
so
get about this.
powerful. Yeah. And think of all the things that Mother Earth holds on to for us. And she actually regurgitates, she composts it for us, and she returns it back to us so beautifully. I mean, every season you watch her draw in and rest and rejuvenate and then re-blossom. And watching her as a model, I don't need any other models besides Mother Earth. So if we're done talking about how much I'm in love with her, but I'm sharing this with everybody because she is willing, and of course ask permission. But I have yet to be told no yet. Maybe there's a time that she'll say no. It's your crap, and you got to deal with it, girl. And okay, I'll listen. But until then, you don't have to hold it all. You do not have to hold it all. So she is there for you. And
That's a really comforting message for our listeners. Just remember that you don't have to carry it all by yourself.
mm-hmm.
We have this supportive Earth Mother, and she gives us so much abundance. There's this, I know it's not endless for real, but it energetically, the more we give back to the earth, the more she'll give back to us, and it's regenerative.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do it. We can show that love and feel it in return.
And as we develop these episodes, we'll talk more about the chakra system and Reiki and how we are vessels and how to really channel that energy so that it's not even really about replenishing. It's a constant flow. So let's take that perfect segue into the seventh direction, which is all about you. You are the seventh direction. So if you think about that, here we are, we've painted this picture of this beautiful sphere, and here you are in the middle of it. You are connected to all the elements, all the animals, all the rocks, all the trees, all the expansive sky. Every sunset, every sunrise is a part of you. And in harmony, if we are in harmony, this is a spectacular gig we got going on here.
That's right.
So how do you honor that seventh direction in your daily practices? Alicia, tell us how you do it.
Oh my goodness. Just witnessing and being grateful for all that I am, for all that's in my life. I so appreciate getting to have this experience, getting to have these senses and these awarenesses. And I give myself so much gratitude, so much appreciation, recognizing where I succeed, where I shine, and allowing that to grow. And I feel it in my heart. I feel this immense love and joy just expanding out of me, and it's this amazing connection that I feel within that I nurture. It's a constant connecting practice, awareness practice. I use all of these elements, I use all of these practices, and it really is like coming home in the center of my being.
Yes, it is. And knowing that we have these sacred contracts with ourselves, that's a concept that Alicia and I both learned from Carolyn Myss. She's a beautiful woman who teaches all about the intention of your life and the purpose of your life. That you are sacred and you are here for such a purpose. I personally struggle. If you look at me from the outside, I am so joyful and dynamic, and I have this spectacular life, but I have a lot of negative self-talk. And so that is part of my practice to find the gratitude. Like you just said, fill myself up with gratitude, with affirmations, with I'm going out there today. I light my candle and I say, I'm going to do it even better. I'm going to, try again today. And so that takes practice, everybody. And, but with the little steps and a little bit of rewording, and we are talking about this big time in episode 3 about bringing your energy back to you. So we'll get into that pretty deeply in episode 3. But just know that now you are absolutely divine. You are sacred. You are spectacular. And you do deserve beauty, harmony, centeredness, joy, abundance. Yes.
Take a moment right now to
Yes.
appreciate yourself.
Yay.
Yay.
If I had pom poms, you got to imagine me with pom poms. I'm like, shake, shake, shake.
Yay.
Yay.
Celebrate your life, celebrate you and how you show up every day and do your best. And that's another whole podcast episode we will talk about. But I'm going to reference it right now because always do your best is a motto and a life affirmation and one of the 4 agreements from
Yes.
Don Miguel Ruiz's book. And it's been my Bible for
so long.
Yeah. So we will go into so much more. And thank you so much for following us on this journey. We're so grateful to get to share this with you. Yeah. Please, what is it called? Subscribe. Yes. Please subscribe.
Join
so
us.
that we can talk with you more about these amazing topics. Our goal is to live a spiritual life, and we're doing the daily practices. We're not perfect. We have our challenges. We will share them with you. We've got great stories, and I just love how you make me laugh so much, Shelby. It's so much fun being here with you.
We've only just begun, my friend. This is exciting. Yes, thank you, everybody. Blessed be on your day. Blessed be on these practices. If you just do one a day and they start to become normal, and you'll know your go-to moment when you're like, oh, I'm getting a little bit off. Oh, got to do my breath work. And I'm excited. I'm excited for everybody.
Make it a habit.
Love yourself.
Enjoy it. Love yourself. Love
Yay,
you.
love you guys.
Have a beautiful, wonderful day.